On the Congo River, world champion rafter Steve Fisher vanished beneath the surface, swallowed whole by a whirlpool moving with the force to shatter bone. When whirlpools swallow ships whole isn't just a phrase. Across the globe, vortexes spin with enough power to drag down everything from barges to entire islands, and no warning is ever enough. What exactly transforms swirling currents into history's deadliest traps, and could you survive if the water decided to take you? Water in motion can seem gentle, but when two currents meet head-on, the story changes. Picture the gears inside a clock. Each tooth locks with the next, setting off a chain reaction of movement. Now imagine those gears made of water. When rivers, tides, or ocean flows collide, their energy doesn't just stop, it spins. The water starts to turn in circles, each layer driving the one beside it, just like gears in constant rotation. But there's a twist. Unlike metal gears, water isn't limited to a flat plane. It pulls not only sideways but downward, creating a funnel that reaches deep beneath the surface. For a whirlpool to truly take shape, three ingredients must come together. First, there must be enough moving water, vast volumes, not just a trickle. Second, the currents need to move in opposite directions or at sharp angles, feeding energy into the spin. Third, the bottom must drop away beneath the swirling water, forming a pit or channel that lets the vortex dig downward, pulling everything above toward its center. When these conditions align, the result is a living machine powered by physics alone. The process unfolds in stages. At first, the water's surface ripples and eddies, almost playful. But as more mass joins the rotation, the spin tightens and deepens. The center forms a visible funnel, the hallmark of a mature whirlpool. This downward pull is where the real danger lies. The deeper the pit beneath, the more water is sucked into the spiral, and the stronger the grip on anything caught above. It's not just the speed of the spin that matters, but the total weight of water being moved. That's why some whirlpools, even if they look slow, can drag down entire boats or structures. They're working with the force of millions of tons, all turning in concert. The recipe is simple, but the outcome can be catastrophic. These are the mechanics behind every deadly vortex, from the smallest river eddy to the ship-swallowing maelstroms of legend. A mountain river in full flood can create a whirlpool that spins at 7 miles per hour. To a swimmer or someone in a kayak, that speed feels unstoppable, enough to flip a boat, drag a person under, or pin someone against submerged rocks. Rescue teams know that even experienced rafters have little chance once they're trapped in the grip of such a vortex. Local search reports are filled with stories of hikers, animals, and small craft swept away by these sudden eddies, especially where rivers narrow or drop steeply over hidden ledges. But speed alone doesn't decide the danger for ships. The real difference comes down to volume. In rivers, the spinning water is fast but shallow, with only a thin layer of current swirling above bedrock or gravel. Most whirlpools in these settings are less than 60 feet across and only a few feet deep. The total mass of moving water is small compared to the hull of even a modest ferry. For a large vessel, the force simply isn't enough to pull it under. A ship's weight and displacement let it ride out the turbulence, even if the surface looks wild. That's why accident records show that while river whirlpools overturn canoes and rafts every year, there's no evidence of commercial ships being lost to these forces alone. The story changes in the open sea or a tidal strait. There, whirlpools can grow hundreds of feet wide and reach deep into the water column, moving billions of cubic feet at once. Now both speed and volume combine, creating a force strong enough to threaten steel hulls and multi-ton vessels. The distinction is clear. In rivers, whirlpools are a deadly hazard for people in small boats, but they lack the muscle to sink a ship. It takes the scale of an oceanic maelstrom, where water moves not just quickly, but in vast, relentless masses to turn the world's largest vessels into playthings of the current. Saltstraumen, a tidal strait in northern Norway, is home to what many consider the world's most powerful, naturally occurring whirlpool. The strait itself stretches 1.86 miles, narrowing to just 492 feet at its tightest point. Every 6 hours, like clockwork, billions of cubic feet of seawater surge through this channel, connecting the Saltfjorden and Skjærstadfjorden with the open Barents Sea. This relentless movement is driven by the difference in water levels between the fjords as tides rise and fall, forcing the sea to squeeze through the narrow passage at breathtaking speed. At peak flow, Saltstraumen's surface currents can reach 23 miles per hour. For comparison, that's faster than a sprinter at full tilt. And it's not just the surface that moves. The entire water column from top to bottom churns with unstoppable force. 4 times a day, the tidal cycle repeats, each event precisely timed and predictable. Local pilots and mariners rely on detailed tables to schedule safe passage, knowing that missing the window can mean facing the full wrath of the vortex. The difference between slack water and the surge is dramatic. At slack, the channel is calm, almost inviting. But as the tide turns, the water comes alive, twisting into massive, swirling funnels that can reach 30 feet across and plunge deep below the surface. For centuries, Saltstraumen has demanded respect. Fishermen, ferry captains, and modern shipping crews all know to avoid the strait during these scheduled whirlpool events. Accidents are rare today thanks to careful timing, but the power on display leaves no doubt about the risks. The sheer volume and speed of moving water here create a natural hazard that's both controlled and formidable, an awe-inspiring demonstration of what happens when tidal forces and geography combine in just the right way. Off the coast of Norway, where the Lofoten Islands meet the open Norwegian Sea, lies a stretch of water that sailors have feared for centuries. Here, the maelstrom, known locally as Moskstraumen, spins its legend into reality. Unlike the clockwork predictability of Saltstraumen, the maelstrom is a creature of chaos. Its whirlpools can appear anywhere from 2 to 6 times a day, with no warning and no set schedule. The seafloor below is a maze of underwater ridges, jagged banks, and hidden pinnacles. These features twist and split the tides, sending powerful currents smashing together above the submerged landscape. The result is a vortex that can reach speeds of 8 miles per hour. But it's not the speed alone that terrifies mariners, it's the unpredictability. Edgar Allan Poe immortalized the maelstrom in his story, A Descent into the Maelstrom, describing a place where the laws of nature seem to break down and where survival depends on chance as much as skill. For generations, local fishing crews have learned to read the signs. Shifting winds, a sudden drop in water level, the roar of churning water echoing across the waves. But even the most experienced hands have been caught off guard. There are records of boats vanishing within minutes, overturned or sucked under without hope of rescue. Survivors tell of being spun in circles, powerless to steer, their engines drowned by the relentless pull. The maelstrom's true danger lies in its refusal to follow any pattern. One day, the sea may be calm and passable. The next, it becomes a trap with no visible warning. Navigation charts mark the danger zone, but no map can predict the exact moment a vortex will form or how fierce its grip will be. For small fishing boats, the risk is constant. Even modern vessels equipped with radar and GPS treat the maelstrom with respect. Here, uncertainty itself becomes the threat, turning a patch of ocean into a living hazard, as infamous for its unpredictability as for its raw power. In southern Japan, where the Seto Inland Sea funnels into the Pacific, the Naruto Strait becomes a theater of motion every 6 hours. Here, the water doesn't just spin, it multiplies. 3 or 4 whirlpools form at once beneath the Onaruto Bridge, each one growing and shrinking in rhythm with the tides. The largest reach 50 feet across on an average day, but during the spring floods, when the tide surges at its strongest, These vortexes can swell to 65 feet in diameter. Currents accelerate to 13 miles per hour, faster than a city bus in traffic, and the water's surface dips into deep, glassy funnels that seem to open directly into the sea below. Unlike the solitary giants of Norway, Naruto's danger comes from numbers. A boat caught by one whirlpool faces a second and third, each spinning in a different direction. Escaping one just means colliding with another as the currents twist and double back on themselves. Local guides have recorded entire fishing boats trapped in these tandem vortexes, unable to steer free until the tide slackens and the water calms. For smaller craft, the result can be immediate capsizing or worse, being pulled under in seconds. Yet the spectacle draws crowds. The Naruto Bridge has become a magnet for tourists who gather to watch the surface roil and spiral from above. Sightseeing boats skirt the edges, offering a close-up view of the swirling water, while strict warnings forbid anyone from entering the water itself. The paradox is clear. What fascinates from a distance can turn deadly in an instant for anyone who underestimates the power below. With each tidal cycle, Naruto reminds visitors that beauty and danger often share the same stage, and that nature's wonders are best respected from solid ground. No natural whirlpool on Earth matches the scale of the Antarctic circumpolar current. This massive river of water circles Antarctica, stretching an unbroken 18,600 miles, almost the length of the equator itself. At its widest, the current spans 1,553 miles across, a distance greater than the drive from New York to Miami. Every second it moves 200 million tons of seawater. That's 12 billion tons every minute, all racing eastward at speeds reaching 190 feet per second, faster than a cheetah at full sprint, but with the weight of an ocean behind it. Now imagine if this unstoppable flow was disturbed on a colossal scale. Theoretical models suggest that detonating a series of 20 to 30 megaton nuclear devices beneath the ocean's crust around Antarctica could rip open the seafloor. If such explosions punched holes through tectonic plates, the current's unimaginable mass would pour downward into the fractures, spinning into a vortex unlike anything ever seen. In this scenario, the resulting whirlpool would dwarf the Congo River's fiercest rapids, spinning 5 to 10 times faster and with a suction force powerful enough to swallow entire naval fleets, oil rigs, and anything else in its path. The disruption could reshape global ocean currents and even alter sea levels, sending shockwaves through the planet's climate systems. While no one has ever attempted such a thing, and international law forbids it, the raw numbers reveal just how much untapped power flows silently around the bottom of the world, waiting for the right trigger to set it spinning out of control. At sunrise on November 21, 1980, Lake Peigneur in Louisiana looked calm, its surface reflecting the sky above. Beneath the water, a drilling crew from Wilson Brothers Corporation set up for another routine day, searching for oil reserves, their equipment bored downward, unaware that just 1,300 feet below, a vast network of salt mine tunnels stretched beneath the lake bed. Within moments, the drill punched through the mine's ceiling. Water began pouring into the opening, first in a trickle, then in a torrent. The mine's chambers filled rapidly, collapsing walls and supports as the pressure mounted. Above ground, the lake's surface transformed. A vortex opened, expanding to 180 feet across. The whirlpool's pull was relentless. One by one, 11 barges vanished, dragged down as if by an invisible hand. The drilling rig, a tugboat, and dozens of trucks followed. An entire island, home to a botanical garden, crumbled and disappeared beneath the swirling water. Houses along the shore, along with stretches of land and trees, were consumed. The mass swallowed by the lake that morning outweighed the Titanic several times over. Yet, in the midst of the chaos, every miner underground and every worker on the surface escaped with their lives. Early warnings and quick thinking allowed for a full evacuation. The disaster left behind a changed landscape and a stunned community, but not a single fatality. For all its destruction, Lake Peigneux's man-made maelstrom stands as a rare event, an industrial error that unleashed forces as deadly as any natural vortex, yet spared every human caught in its path. Steve Fisher's story stands as a rare exception in a world where whirlpools usually leave no chance. On the Congo River, he found himself pinned beneath the surface, spinning in darkness as the vortex tightened its grip. Years of training and composure mattered, but what truly kept him alive was a small air cylinder, enough to give him about 60 seconds of breath. Rescue teams on shore counted every heartbeat. Fisher later described the experience as a test of nerve and luck. The river showed no mercy, and only the presence of that emergency air supply separated survival from tragedy. For most, the odds are far worse. In 2013, Harrison Okene became the sole survivor of the Jascon 4 tugboat disaster off Nigeria's coast. When the vessel capsized and plunged to the seafloor, Okene scrambled through pitch-black corridors until he found a small bathroom with an air pocket trapped under the ceiling. There he waited, surrounded by water, for 72 hours, 3 full days, before rescue divers finally reached him. The air pocket, just large enough to keep him breathing and prevent his lungs from collapsing under pressure, became his only lifeline. Without it, the crushing weight of water would have ended any hope of survival. Both men endured the impossible, but neither did it alone. Fisher had technology and a prepared team. Okene had a miracle of physics and the persistence of rescuers. Their stories reveal that in the world's deadliest vortexes, survival comes down to a few rare factors: an air supply, an airtight space, and the slim chance that help arrives before time runs out. In 1980, a 180-foot wide whirlpool at Lake Peigneux consumed entire barges, a drilling platform, and an island, yet remarkably, no lives were lost. This documentary has shown how whirlpools, whether natural like Norway's Saltstraumen, swirling at up to 23 miles per hour, or man-made disasters, can unleash sudden and overwhelming force. Survival, as in the cases of Steve Fisher and Harrison Okene, is extremely rare and depends on factors like sealed air pockets and rapid rescue. Despite decades of scientific study, predicting the exact timing and location of the world's most dangerous whirlpools, such as the Maelstrom, remains out of reach due to complex underwater terrain and shifting currents. Archival records confirm that even small whirlpools can escalate quickly, posing serious risks to experienced professionals and casual observers alike. The evidence is clear. Wherever the conditions align, whirlpools remain a deadly and unpredictable force of nature, demanding caution and respect from all who encounter them.